The cargo bay smelled like burnt metal and old grease. T-Sun wiped his hands on his work pants and looked at the damaged engine part. He had been working on his ship for 3 hours now. Heaven's Gate Station was busy today, full of aliens from different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of light. Itself, T-Sun didn't care much about the aliens. He just wanted to fix his ship and leave. His younger sister Hana was waiting for him back on the colony. She needed the money he made from hauling cargo across the sector. Life wasn't easy for humans out here in space, but it was honest work. He walked through the station's main plaza to get some food. The plaza was decorated with colorful banners and strange symbols. Something important was happening today. T-Sun remembered hearing about a diplomatic meeting. Some princess was visiting the station. The plaza was crowded. Aliens of all types moved around him. Most were taller than humans. Some looked at him with curiosity. Humans were still rare in this part of space. T-Sun got his food from a vendor and found a bench to sit on. That's when he saw her, the princess, walk through the plaza surrounded by guards. She was Valkorian, a species known for their psychic powers and crystal technology. She looked young, maybe 20 in human years. Her skin had a faint silvery shimmer, and her eyes were large and purple. She wore flowing robes that seemed to change color when she moved. The guards around her were tall and armed with energy weapons. They looked alert but not worried. This was supposed to be a safe place, a neutral station where everyone followed the rules. T-Sun watched the princess stop at a cultural display. She was smiling at something, talking to one of her attendants. She seemed happy, curious about the different alien artifacts on show. Then everything went wrong. Explosion came from the left side of the plaza. Smoke filled the air. People screamed and ran in all directions. T-Sun saw masked figures rushing toward the princess. They had weapons, not energy guns, but old-style slug throwers. They were shouting something in a language he didn't understand. The Valkorian guards tried to respond, but something was wrong. They looked confused, disoriented. T-Sun realized the attackers must be using some kind of jamming device. The Valkorians relied on their psychic connection to coordinate. Without it, they were vulnerable. One attacker raised his weapon toward the princess. She stood frozen, eyes wide with fear. T-Sun didn't think. He just moved. He ran faster than he thought possible, his boots pounding on the metal floor. He grabbed a metal panel that had been blown off the wall during the explosion. It was heavy, but adrenaline made him strong. He reached the princess just as the first shots rang out. The bullets hit the metal panel with loud clangs. T-Sun felt the impact through his arms, but he held firm. He pushed the princess down behind a vendor stall and used the panel as a shield. More bullets came. One grazed his shoulder, burning through his jacket. Another hit his leg. The pain was sharp and hot, but he didn't let go. Stay down, he shouted at the princess. She stared at him with those huge purple eyes, shocked that this strange human was protecting her. An attacker came around the side. T-Sun swung the metal panel and hit him hard in the chest. The alien went down with a grunt. Another came from the right. T-Sun T-Sun kicked out, his boot connecting with the attacker's knee. He heard something crack. His engineering tools were still on his belt. He grabbed a plasma torch and ignited it. The bright flame made the attackers hesitate. One tried to shoot him, but T-Sun moved the panel just in time. He was bleeding now, feeling dizzy, but he couldn't stop. If he stopped, the princess would die. A third attacker rushed him. T-Sun met him head-on, using the plasma torch like a weapon. The alien screamed and fell back. Blood dripped down T-Sun's arm. His leg was on fire with pain. But he stayed between the princess and the attackers. Finally, he heard the sound he'd been waiting for. The heavy boots of reinforcements. Real security was coming. The Valkorian guards had recovered from the jamming. The attackers saw this too. 3 of them were already down, hurt or dead from T-Sun's desperate defense. The rest ran, disappearing into the smoke and chaos. T-Sun felt his strength leaving him. The metal panel slipped from his hands and hit the ground with a clang. He turned to check on the princess. She was safe, unhurt, still staring at him with wonder and disbelief. "You're okay," he managed to say. His voice sounded far away. Valkorian guards surrounded them now, weapons drawn, looking for more threats. One of them said something in their musical language. The princess responded, pointing at T-Sun. He tried to take a step, but his wounded leg gave out. The world tilted sideways. Strong hands caught him before he hit the ground. He looked up and saw the princess's face above him. She was saying something, but he couldn't hear the words anymore. Everything went dark when consciousness returned. T-Sun was lying on something soft. He opened his eyes slowly and saw a ceiling that glowed with soft blue light. A face appeared above him. Not the princess this time, but an older Valkorian woman. She had the same silver skin and purple eyes, but there was authority in her expression. Power. She wore a crown of crystal that seemed to grow from her own head. "So," the woman said in perfect English, "you are the human who saved my daughter's life." T-Sun's throat was dry. He tried to speak, but only managed a weak cough. The woman smiled, but it wasn't entirely friendly. "Rest now, T-Sun of Earth. We have much to discuss when you wake. You have done something very significant today, more significant than you know." She turned to leave, her robes flowing behind her. At the door, she paused and looked back at him. "I am Queen Isla," she said, "and I am very interested in you." Then she was gone, and T-Sun was left alone with the beeping machines and the uncomfortable feeling that his life had just changed forever. T-Sun woke up, feeling better than he should. His shoulder didn't hurt. His leg felt fine. He sat up and looked down at his body. The wounds were gone, not healed with scars, but completely gone, like they had never existed. He was in a white room that hummed with quiet energy. The walls seemed to glow from within. This wasn't the medical bay on Haven's Gate Station. This was something else. Something far more advanced. The door opened and a tall Valkorian in armor walked in. His face was stern, and his hand rested on the weapon at his belt. "You are awake," the guard said. His English was good but formal. "The Queen will see you now." "Where am I?" T-Sun asked, getting out of the bed. He was wearing clean clothes, not his Own. What happened to my ship? You are aboard the Eternal Dawn, the Royal Flagship. Your ship has been returned to Heaven's Gate. Now come. T-Sun followed the guard through corridors that looked like they were carved from crystal and metal. Other Valkorians passed them, all of them staring at him with curious eyes. He felt like an animal in a zoo. They reached a large room with windows that showed the stars outside. Queen Isla stood by the window, her hands clasped behind her back. Princess Lyra stood beside her, looking much healthier than when T-Sun had last seen her. T-Sun, the queen said without turning around. Thank you for joining us. Did I have a choice? T-Sun asked. The queen turned and smiled. Not really, no. She walked toward him, her crown catching the light. You saved my daughter's life. In Valkorian culture, this creates what we call a life debt. Princess Lyra owes you her life, and by extension so does the royal family. I don't want anything. The queen's smile widened. That is where you are wrong. Most beings would have run or hidden. You charged toward danger. You took injuries that would have killed most species. You fought 3 armed attackers with nothing but a metal panel and a tool. This is not normal behavior, it's just human behavior, T-Sun said. Exactly, the queen replied, and that makes you valuable. Princess Lyra stepped forward. The attackers were from the Korthax Syndicate, she said softly. They are a criminal organization, but they have backing from the Drethian Empire. Our enemies want me dead. I'm sorry, T-Sun said, but I still don't understand why I'm here. Because you are in danger now, the queen said. Her voice became harder. The Korthax know a human protected the princess. They will come for you to send a message. You cannot return to your normal life. T-Sun felt cold. What are you saying? I am offering you a position as my daughter's personal guardian. You will stay with us until the threat is eliminated. You will be paid well. Your family will be protected and compensated. No, T-Sun said. I have a job. I have a sister who needs me. I can't just disappear into space with you. The queen's expression didn't change. You misunderstand. This is not a request. You can't force me to work for you, can't I? The queen gestured to the window. We left Haven's Gate 3 hours ago. We are currently traveling to the Valkorian home world. Your sister Hana has already been contacted and informed of your new employment. She has been compensated quite generously for your absence. Kriot. T-Sun felt anger rise in his chest. You had no right. I have every right. The queen said coldly. You are caught in politics now, whether you like it or not. The life debt must be honored. If you refuse, it is an insult to our entire culture. And more practically, the Korthax will hunt you. Here you have protection. Out there you have nothing. This is kidnapping, T-Sun said. This is survival, the queen countered. For you and for my daughter. T-Sun looked at Princess Lyra. She met his eyes and he saw guilt there, but also determination. I am sorry, Lyra said, but I need you. My mother needs you. Please try to understand. T-Sun sat down in one of the crystal chairs. He felt trapped, angry, confused. Everything had happened so fast. Just yesterday, he was fixing his ship. Now he was a prisoner on an alien flagship being forced to become a Bodyguard for a princess, can I at least talk to my sister? He asked. Queen nodded. Of course. But your communications will be monitored. For security reasons, a screen appeared on the wall. And after a moment, Hannah's face filled it. She looked worried, but not scared. T-Sun, are you okay? They told me you were hurt, but you're fine now. I'm fine, he said, trying to sound calm. Hannah, I'm going to be away for a while. I have a new job. They paid me, Hannah said, a lot, enough to cover rent for a year. What's going on? It's complicated. Just trust me, okay? I'll explain everything when I can. They talked for a few more minutes. Hannah seemed happy about the money, which made T-Sun feel a little better. At least she would be safe and comfortable. When the call ended, the Queen spoke again. You will have quarters in the royal wing. You will be fitted with armor designed for human physiology. Training begins tomorrow. On deformation. Questions 9. On deformation, and if I refuse to cooperate, then you will spend a very long time sitting in a comfortable prison, the Queen said simply. The choice is yours. T-Sun stood up. Fine, I'll be your guard, but only until this threat is over. Then I go home. Queen smiled again. And this time there was something almost predatory in it. We shall see, the guard from before led T-Sun to his new quarters. The room was large and beautifully decorated. It had a bed twice the size of his bunk on the cargo ship, a private bathroom with water that changed temperature with a thought, and windows that showed the stars streaming past. It was a cage made of luxury. Princess Lyra came to visit him an hour later. She stood at his door looking nervous. May I come in? T-Sun nodded. She sat down carefully, her robes pooling around her. I truly am sorry, she said. My mother can be very forceful, but she is right about the danger. The Korthax will not stop until I am dead. And now you are connected to me. I didn't ask to be connected to you, T-Sun said, but his voice wasn't harsh. I know, but you saved me anyway. Why? T-Sun shrugged. I don't know. I saw someone in danger and I reacted. That's all. Lyra studied him with those strange purple eyes. You are very different from what I expected humans to be. I have read about your species. You are supposed to be selfish and violent. Some of us are, T-Sun admitted. But not all. No, Lyra agreed. She stood to leave. At the door, she paused. I will try to make this easier for you. I promise. When she left, T-Sun lay on the large bed and stared at the ceiling. He thought about his sister, his ship, his old life. Everything had changed in one moment of violence. He had saved a princess and now a queen wouldn't let him go. Outside the window, the stars continued their endless dance. And somewhere ahead, the Valkorian homeworld waited. The Valkorian homeworld was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Crystal spires rose from the ground like frozen music. Cities glowed with soft light that came from the buildings themselves. The sky was a deep purple color that T-Sun had never seen before. He stood on a balcony in the royal palace wearing armor that felt like it was made from liquid metal. It was light but strong, adjusting to his movements like a second skin. The Valkorians had designed it specifically for him, for human biology. Impressive, isn't it? A voice said behind him. T-Sun turned to see another human. A woman about his age with short black hair and a friendly smile. She wore similar armor but with different markings. "I'm Jiwon," she said, extending her hand. "Tech specialist I've been working with the Valkorians for 2 years now." T-Sun shook her hand, relieved to see another human. Jiwon laughed. "Yeah, I heard about you. You're famous. The human who saved the princess. It's all over the news feeds." "Artem." "Great," T-Sun muttered. "Don't worry too much. The Valkorians are actually good people once you understand them. They're just very different from us." Jiwon leaned against the railing. "But I should warn you about something. The Queen doesn't let things go easily. Especially things she finds valuable." "What do you mean?" "I mean you might be here longer than you think." Before T-Sun could respond, a guard came to get him. Commander Vex was in charge of the royal guard. He was the tallest Valkorian T-Sun had seen, with scars on his silver skin and eyes that looked like they had seen too much violence. "So you are the human," Vex said in heavily accented English. "You do not look like much. I get that a lot," T-Sun replied. The training room was huge, with equipment that T-Sun didn't recognize. Other guards stood around, watching with curious eyes. "We will test your abilities," Vex said. "Show me what you can do." They started with physical tests: running, jumping, lifting. T-Sun wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he kept going when the Valkorian guards expected him to stop. Their psychic abilities gave them advantages, but they tired quickly. T-Sun just kept pushing forward. "Interesting," Vex said, making notes on a glowing tablet. "You have less power but more endurance. Your body recovers faster from strain." Then came combat training. Vex paired T-Sun with one of his guards. The Valkorian was skilled, moving with grace and precision. But T-Sun was unpredictable. He fought like someone who had learned on the streets, not in a training hall. He lost the first 3 matches, but he learned quickly. By the end of the session, Vex looked thoughtful. "You cannot match our psychic coordination, but you think differently. This makes you hard to predict. Perhaps you will be useful after all." It was the closest thing to praise T-Sun had received from the commander. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Training in the morning, guard duty in the afternoon, royal functions in the evening. T-Sun learned to stand still for hours while Princess Lyra attended meetings. He learned which foods would poison humans and which were safe. He learned basic Valkorian phrases. Lyra seemed to enjoy having him around. She asked him endless questions about Earth, about human culture, about his life before. She told him about Valkorian history, about the psychic bonds that connected her people, about the pressure of being an heir. "Do you ever wish you could just be normal?" T-Sun asked one day as they walked through the royal gardens. "Every day," Lyra admitted. "But we do not get to choose our duties, only how we fulfill them." "Every day." Lyra. T-Sun understood that feeling more than he wanted to admit. The royal gardens were Lyra's favorite place. Crystal flowers grew from the ground, chiming softly in the wind. Water flowed in streams that defied gravity, flowing upward before falling back down. It was peaceful, beautiful, and it made T-Sun miss Earth in a way that hurt. They were walking along one of the streams when T-Sun's instincts Screamed danger, he didn't think. He grabbed Lyra and pulled her down, just as energy fire cut through the air. Where her head had been, the shot came from the trees above, from a sniper hiding in the branches. T-Sung's armor activated, automatically hardening to deflect the next shot. He covered Lyra with his body, scanning for the attacker. His heart pounded, but his mind was clear. This was just like Haven's Gate. Someone wanted the princess dead. Guards poured into the garden, weapons drawn. The sniper tried to escape, but Valkorian's psychic powers locked onto his mind, freezing him in place. They pulled him from the trees and brought him down roughly. T-Sun helped Lyra to her feet. She was shaking, but unhurt. "You saved me again," she whispered. "That's my job," T-Sun said, but his voice was softer than he intended. Queen Isla arrived minutes later, her face tight with fury. She examined her daughter, then looked at T-Sun. For a moment, something like gratitude flashed in her eyes. "Take the prisoner to interrogation," she ordered. "I want to know who sent him." That night, Jiawan came to T-Sun's quarters with a bottle of something that looked like wine but tasted like starlight. "You did good today," she said, pouring them both a glass. "But you know what this means, right?" "What?" "The Queen will never let you go now. You've proven you're essential. You saved Lyra twice. That's not luck, that's pattern. She needs you." T-Sun drank the strange wine and felt warmth spread through his chest. "I figured there's something else," Jiawan said, her voice dropping lower. "I've been hearing rumors. Some people think these attacks aren't just from outside enemies. Some think there's a conspiracy inside the palace itself." "What do you mean?" "I mean, someone in the royal court might want Lyra dead. Someone with power and influence." Jiawan leaned closer. "Be careful, T-Sun. Politics here are deadly, and you're right in the middle of them now." After Jiawan left, T-Sun stood on his balcony and looked out at the crystal city. Lights glowed in the darkness like captured stars. Somewhere out there, someone was planning to kill the princess he was supposed to protect. He thought about Hana, safe in her colony apartment. He thought about his old ship, probably being sold for parts by now. He thought about the life he used to have, the simple life of a cargo hauler. That life was gone now. He was a guardian for an alien princess, trapped in a palace full of secrets and dangers. The Queen wouldn't let him leave. The princess needed him, and somehow, against all logic and reason, he was starting to care about both of them. Below his balcony, guards changed shift. The palace never slept, and neither did the enemies hiding in its shadows. T-Sun touched the armor he still wore. It responded to his thoughts, shifting and adjusting. Advanced technology, beautiful and deadly, just like everything else in this world. He was a human among aliens, a simple engineer playing at being a hero. But he had made his choice back on Haven's Gate when he picked up that metal panel. Now he had to live with the consequences. The wine bottle sat empty on his table. The stars wheeled overhead, and T-Sun stood watch, the way he would for many nights to come. The interrogation of the captured sniper revealed nothing. He died before the psychic interrogators could extract information from his mind. Poison, hidden in a false tooth. Someone had planned for this possibility. T-Sun couldn't shake the feeling that Jiawan was right. The attacks felt too coordinated, too well-timed. Someone inside the palace was feeding information to the assassins he met with Jaiwan in one of the palace's lower levels, far from the listening devices that monitored the royal quarters. I have friend, Jiwan said quietly. Another human. Her name is Mayuri. She works in intelligence, gathering information for various clients. She might be able to help us. Can we trust her as much as we can trust anyone? Jiwan replied. Mayuri turned out to be a sharp-eyed woman with gray streaks in her black hair. She met them in a small cafe in the city far from the palace. You're the famous guardian, Mayuri said, studying T-Sun over her cup of Velkorian tea. The human who won't die. That's not exactly how I describe myself, T-Sun said, but it's accurate. 2 assassination attempts. And you walked away from both. Mayuri set down her cup. Jiwan says, you think there's a conspiracy inside the palace? The timing is too perfect. T-Sun explained. The attacks happen when the princess is most vulnerable. Someone knows her schedule, her movements, her security protocols. Mayuri nodded. Slowly. I've heard whispers. Nothing solid. But rumors. There's a faction in the Velkorian court that opposes the queen's peaceful policies. They think Velkor has become weak. Who leads this faction? A nobleman named Lord Thuron. He was very powerful once, very close to the throne. Some say he wanted to marry Queen Isla before her late husband. He's never forgotten that rejection. T-Sun felt pieces clicking together in his mind. So he wants revenge, maybe. Or maybe he genuinely believes the Velkorian Empire needs to return to its old ways. Conquest, expansion, military strength. Princess Lyra represents everything he hates. She's young, idealistic, peaceful. We need proof, Guan said. We can't just accuse a nobleman without evidence. Mayuri smiled grimly. That's the hard part. Thuron is careful. He's been playing this game for decades. Over the next few weeks, T-Sun split his time between protecting Lyra and investigating the conspiracy. It wasn't easy. He had to be subtle, careful not to raise suspicions. He watched the nobles who attended court functions, noting who spoke with whom, who looked uncomfortable when certain topics arose. Lord Thuron was smooth and charming. He smiled at everyone, said all the right things, showed perfect loyalty to the crown. But T-Sun saw something beneath that polished surface, something cold and calculating. His relationship with Lyra deepened during this time. She noticed he was distracted, worried about something. You can talk to me, she said one evening as they walked through the gardens. Guards surrounded them now after the sniper attack. We are friends, are we not? We are, T-Sun admitted, and it was true. Somewhere along the way, the princess had become more than just his job. She was smart, kind, genuinely interested in making the galaxy a better place. He respected that. Then tell me what troubles you, T-Sun wanted to. But he couldn't. Not without proof. If he was wrong, he would destroy an innocent man's reputation. If he was right but couldn't prove it, Thuron would be warned and cover his tracks. Just palace politics, he said instead. Lyra looked at him with those knowing purple eyes. He laughed despite himself. I know. Queen Ayla became more demanding As the weeks passed, she gave T-Sun impossible duties, testing his loyalty. Constantly, she watched him during court functions. Her expression unreadable, sometimes he felt like a specimen under glass, being studied and evaluated. Gwon noticed too. She's becoming obsessed with you, with what you represent. Gwon, with what you represent. What do I represent? Something new, something unpredictable. Humans think differently than Valkorians. We don't have psychic bonds, we can't read each other's thoughts. That makes us valuable in ways they're only beginning to understand. T-Sun met with a human doctor named Yuna who specialized in alien psychology. She worked at the Palace Medical Center, studying how different species thought and behaved. Valkorians bond very deeply, Yuna explained. When they form attachments, they don't let go easily. You saved the Queen's daughter. In her mind, you're now part of her family structure, part of the stability that keeps her realm safe. Team, but I'm not Valkorian, T-Sun protested. I don't want to be part of her family structure. Doesn't matter. That's how her brain works. And the more you prove yourself valuable, the tighter she'll hold on. Breakthrough in the investigation came from an unexpected source. One of Thuron's servants, a young Valkorian named Kel, approached Myri with information. He was Lyra's younger brother. Bitter about being passed over for the throne, Kel hates his sister Myri. Told T-Sun and Gwon during their next secret meeting. He thinks she's weak, that she'll destroy the empire with her peaceful policies. He's been working with Thuron. Can he give us proof? He says there's a meeting tomorrow night in the old archives beneath the palace. Thuron and his conspirators are planning the next attack. It was a trap. T-Sun knew it was a trap, but it was also their best chance to gather evidence. No, he told Lyra he needed to check the palace security systems, something routine that wouldn't raise suspicions. Then he went to the archives alone, wearing his armor but no weapons that would trigger alarms. The archives were old, built centuries ago when the palace was first constructed. Dust covered everything. Crystal lights flickered weakly. T-Sun moved silently through the halls, following the directions Myri had given him. He heard voices ahead. Carefully he approached and looked. Around a corner, Lord Thuron stood with 5 others, all nobles T-Sun recognized from court. They were studying a holographic map of the palace. The ceremony next week, Thuron said in Valkorian. T-Sun had learned enough to understand basic conversation. Security will be focused on the main hall. That's when we strike. T-Sun, what about the human guardian? One of the others asked. Thuron smiled coldly. He is predictable. He will try to protect the princess. That will make him vulnerable. They were planning an ambush, not just for Lyra, but for T-Sun too. He started to back away to go get help, but his foot knocked against a loose stone. The sound echoed through the archives. Thuron's head snapped around, his eyes locked on T-Sun's hiding spot. Kill him, he shouted. The conspirators drew weapons. T-Sun ran. Energy fire lit up the ancient halls. T-Sun's armor absorbed some shots, but not all. He felt pain in his side, his back, but he kept running. He had to reach help. He had to warn someone. An explosion rocked the archives. Debris fell from the ceiling. T-Sun stumbled, nearly fell, but caught himself. His armor's communication system had been damaged by the energy fire. He was alone. One of the conspirators caught up to him, a large Velkorian with a blade. They fought in the narrow corridor, T-Sun using his smaller size to his advantage. He dodged the blade, grabbed the Velkorian's arm, and threw him into a wall using momentum and leverage. The alien went down hard, but there were more coming. T-Sun grabbed the fallen blade and kept running. His side burned. Blood dripped down his armor. But he couldn't stop. He reached the main levels of the palace and collapsed in front of a patrol of guards. They surrounded him, weapons drawn, shouting questions. Conspiracy, T-Sun gasped. Lord Thuron. Archives. He's planning to kill the princess. Guards hesitated. They didn't know whether to believe him. Then Queen Ayla appeared, moving through the corridor like a storm. She saw T-Sun bleeding on the floor, saw the determination in his eyes. Take me to them, she commanded. The throne room was silent as death. Lord Thuron stood in chains before Queen Ayla, his face carefully blank. Around him, his co-conspirators knelt with their heads bowed. Royal guards lined the walls, weapons ready. T-Sun stood to the side, his wounds healed again by Velkorian medicine. But he felt no relief. He felt used. Queen Ayla's voice was cold as ice. Lord Thuron, you are accused of conspiracy, attempted murder of the royal heir, and treason. What do you say to these charges? Thuron raised his chin. I say that I acted for the good of the Velkorian Empire. You have made us weak, Your Majesty. You negotiate when we should conquer. You make peace with our enemies, the old Velkora. The strong Velkora would never have enough. The queen cut him off. I do not wish to hear your justifications. You tried to kill my daughter. That is all that matters. She turned to the assembled court. Let this be a lesson. Those who threaten the throne will be dealt with harshly. Lord Thuron, you and your followers are hereby stripped of all titles and lands. You will be exiled to the outer colonies, never to return to Velkora Prime. It was a harsh sentence, but not execution. The court murmured with surprise. Thuron laughed bitterly. Exile? See how weak you have become. My father would have had us executed. I am not your father, Queen Ayla said. And this is not your empire anymore. Take them away. As the guards led the prisoners out, Thuron looked at T-Sun. She will never let you go, human. You are too valuable now. You have become her weapon, her tool. Remember that. Armand. Weapon. Weapon. The words haunted T-Sun as the throne room emptied. Later he confronted the queen in her private chambers. Princess Lyra was there too, sitting quietly in a corner. You knew, T-Sun said. His voice was hard, angry. You knew about Thuron all along, Queen Ayla didn't deny it. I suspected. You used me as bait. You let me walk into danger knowing what might happen. I kept guards nearby. You were never in true danger. That's not the point. T-Sun's hands clenched into fists. You played games with my life. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. Or, T-Sun's, would you have acted naturally if you knew you were bait? The queen asked calmly. Would Thuron have believed the trap? Quote, T-Sun had no answer for that. She was probably right. But it didn't make him feel any better. The threat is over now, he said. Thuron is gone. His followers are in exile. The life debt is paid. I'm leaving. No, Queen Isla said simply. You can't keep me prisoner anymore. There's no reason. The queen stood and walked to him. Even though she was shorter than him, she seemed to tower over everything in the room. There are many reasons. The Korthos Syndicate still exists. Other enemies will arise. My daughter needs protection that I can trust absolutely. And beyond all that, Velcora needs. Humans needs what you represent. What do I represent? Tisun demanded. Change. Evolution. A new way of thinking. The queen's voice became intense. For centuries, we Velcorians have relied on our psychic bonds, our telepathic coordination, but that makes us predictable, vulnerable to certain kinds of attacks. Humans think differently. You cannot be read, cannot be anticipated. You see solutions we would never consider. That makes you invaluable. I'm not a tool for you to use. Everyone is a tool, the queen said harshly. Every guard, every servant, every advisor, even my own daughter. We all serve the empire in our way. You are no different. Mother Lyra stood up, her voice sharp. It was the first time Tisun had heard her speak to the queen with anything but respect. That is not fair. Tisun saved my life twice. He has earned the right to choose his own path. Then, unlie that then what? Mother and daughter stared at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Psychic words Tisun couldn't hear. Finally, Lyra turned to him. You do have a choice, Tisun. Stay because you want to, or leave and I will help you, even if it means defying my mother. Tisun. Tisun, the queen's face showed surprise. Then something that might have been pride. Tisun looked between them. The powerful queen who saw him as a valuable asset, the young princess who saw him as a friend. Both needed him in their own way. He thought about his old life. His cargo ship hauling goods from station to station. His small apartment that smelled like engine grease. It seemed like a lifetime ago. A different person's life, he thought. About Hana. He had called her the day before. She was doing well. Had gotten a job with a Velcorian trading company. She seemed happy, excited about the opportunities opening up for humans in this part of space. If I stay, Tisun said slowly. What terms? The queen asked. I'm not a prisoner. I can leave the palace when I want. I can visit my sister. I can refuse duties I think are wrong. Agreed, and Lyra gets more freedom too. No more arranged marriages. No more being locked away for safety. She deserves to choose her own path. Lyra's eyes widened. The queen frowned but finally nodded. Very well. Thanks for watching. Lyra. Both. One more thing, Tisun said. I want other humans to have opportunities here. Not just as guards or servants, but as real partners, advisors, diplomats, equals. The queen was quiet for a long moment. You bargain well for someone who claims not to understand politics. One, I'm learning, Tisun said. Very well. I accept your terms. But know this, Tisun of Earth. You are choosing to be part of something larger than yourself. The relationship between humans and Velcorians is just beginning. You will Be at the center of it. That is a heavy burden, I know, T-Sun said. And he did. He understood now what Jaiwan and Mayuri had tried to tell him. He wasn't just a guard anymore. He was a symbol. A bridge between species. Lyra came to him and took his hand. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. 2 months later, T-Sun stood in the same throne room. But everything was different. He wore formal robes instead of armor. Beside him, Lyra smiled at the crowd. They were announcing a new alliance between the Velkorian Empire and the Human Colonial Federation. It had been T-Sun's idea. If humans were going to be part of Velkorian space, they needed official recognition, protection, rights. Queen Ayla had resisted at first, but Lyra supported him. Together, they had convinced her. Now humans were arriving on Velcora Prime every week. Engineers, doctors, traders, explorers. They brought new ideas, new technologies, new ways of seeing the galaxy. The Velkorians were fascinated and sometimes frustrated by these unpredictable aliens. Jiwan stood in the crowd grinning at him. Mayuri was there too, now officially employed as a liaison between human and Velkorian intelligence services. Even Hana had come, taking a break from her new job to see her brother at this important moment. After the ceremony, T-Sun found a quiet balcony overlooking the Crystal City. The purple sky was clear, showing stars from unfamiliar constellations. Lyra joined him, standing close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Do you regret it? She asked. Staying here instead of going home? T-Sun thought about it. Really thought about it. No, he said finally. I thought I would. But this feels right. Like I'm supposed to be here. I am glad, Lyra said. I do not know what I would do without you. You'd be fine. You're stronger than you think. Perhaps, but I am better with you beside me. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights come on as darkness fell. Somewhere below, humans and Velkorians worked together, building something new, something that wouldn't have been possible without that one moment of violence on Haven's Gate Station. Queen Ayla appeared in the doorway behind them. T-Sun, a moment, he turned to face. Sorry. Their relationship was still complicated, but there was mutual respect now. Ambassador Chen from the Human Federation wants to meet with you tomorrow. She has questions about integrating human military tactics with Velkorian psychic coordination. I'm an engineer, not a military strategist, T-Sun pointed out. You are whatever the Empire needs you to be, the Queen said. But there was the hint of a smile on her face. Isn't that what you agreed to? On my terms, T-Sun reminded her. On your terms, she agreed. You have changed much here, T-Sun. Perhaps more than you know. After she left, Lyra laughed softly. My mother respects you. That is a rare thing. She respects that I'm useful. T-Sun said. No. She respects you because you stood up to her. Because you refuse to be controlled. She values strength. Even when it opposes her. A message came through on T-Sun's communicator. It was from Haven's Gate Station. More humans were asking about opportunities in Velkorian space. Word was spreading about the alliance, about the chances for advancement, for adventure. The galaxy was changing. And somehow, impossibly, a cargo ship engineer who had just wanted to fix his ship and go home. Was at the center of it all. Taysun looked at the stars, then at Lyra beside him, then down at the city where two species were learning to live together. He had protected an alien princess from attacks. A queen had refused to let him go, but in the end, he had chosen to stay. And that choice, that freedom to choose, made all the difference. The stars wheeled overhead in their eternal dance, and Taysun smiled, ready for whatever came next.